Hi, my name is Jesima. I am into SAP from last 10 years. I'm currently working for a defense client.
Okay. So, yeah. Let me introduce myself. Hi, this is Prem. I'll be conducting the Ariba training. So, I have been working in Ariba for almost 8 to 9 years. Um, yeah, let's jump into the training demo. So, yeah. So, do you already, since you're working in MM, right? You already would have a idea on Ariba, right?
I have
Or
complete understanding about Ariba Prem, where
okay.
Ariba is works on cloud and it is divided or segregated into upstream, downstream, and upstream has
Mm-hmm.
SLP sourcing contract, and downstream has this P2P process.
Mm-hmm.
And we have CAG in connection, which plays as an integration
Yes.
between ECC or S4. And if it is a
Mm-hmm.
cloud premise, then we need to add as a connector. If it is
Yes.
cloud premise, then it could be a direct connectivity as well without any installation of connectors.
Yes.
And I have worked on master data as well. How or what are the settings that are required in order to push data from S4 to Ariba in
Mm-hmm.
terms of supply data or be it plant or material types, all sort of data.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
I know how it behaves in the functionality in CIG as well, where we have uh, a creation of a project and setting up the connections in connectivity settings. And there are few
Mm-hmm.
tabs as well in CIG,
Mm-hmm.
all these things. So
Okay.
I'm not naive or new to Ariba. I just
Mm-hmm.
want to see how this
Mm-hmm.
functionality works in core, be it templates or versionings, uh,
Okay.
sort of things.
So basically, you don't want to understand how integration works, which from the
Not
way
only
I
just about
understand that.
integration, not only just
Mm-hmm.
about integration. First of all, the core functionality in Ariba, say,
Yes, I got it.
when I say about sourcing,
Mm-hmm.
it starts from sourcing request, then with
Yes.
the sourcing project
Workspace. Yeah.
workspace, and there are different types of sourcing RFP, RFI, auctions,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and so how the settings has to be done
Mm-hmm.
or when I say RFP,
Mm-hmm.
how the grading or the scoring has to be enabled, or how this technical bidding or commercial envelopes, in what cases it has to be open or to whom it has to be visible, all sort of things. Those are the areas or applications where I am focused on. This is about
Okay.
sourcing. Similarly, with
Mm-hmm.
contracts as well.
Mm-hmm.
In what cases it has to be converted to a purchase order, or in what cases it has to be a contract has to be triggered.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
these things in upstream, similarly areas in downstream as well, respectively.
Okay. Got it. So, basically, right, like, see, the functionality at the back end is what drives Ariba, right? So, as you understand, Ariba is nothing but a tool that is still connected to MM in SAP, right? So, all the basic things comes from MM, right? Like your material data, your suppliers, your maybe if you have SLP, you will create the suppliers in Ariba and it will flow to MM. But end of the day, MM is the one that drives Ariba, right? So if MM is not there, then there is no Ariba, basically, right? So that is how the entire thing works, right? So if you take sourcing or contract, so sourcing contract, right? Either you can do standalone or you can integrate with S4. Okay. So for example, I'll tell you a scenario, right? You wanted to do a sourcing, right? So either I can do it completely in Ariba, I can do the bidding, I can award the contracts, and I can do a contract. Okay. Or I can start the entire process from MM. Okay. So how that will work? Like I'll create a requisition in S4, and that requisition. So for example, I wanted a material. Okay. And I create a requisition. Some one user goes and create a requisition in S4, and once that is integrated to Ariba, okay, it will create a sourcing request. Okay. From that sourcing request, it will create a someone needs to go and create a sourcing project. Okay. So sourcing request creation can be automated, but project or sourcing workspace, right? It needs to be created manually. Okay. Um,
Yeah, that is what
uh,
we are doing currently in the
in
existing
your client.
thing,
Okay.
where we create
Okay.
a PR and an
PR.
RFQ is
Okay.
generated, and
Mm-hmm.
RFQ will be flowing back to Ariba, which creates a
Ariba.
sourcing
Mhm.
request.
Yes. So, and once that is awarded, it will flow back to S4 and either create a PO or create a contract, right?
Exactly.
Okay. So that is again based on your requirement. Okay. So when you ask like in what scenario it should create a contract or in what scenario it should create a PO, it's based on your requirement. Okay. So I have some requirement. Like okay, I wanted to create a PO out of this, then I can set like that. Okay. So then it will create a purchase order. If I wanted to create a contract out of the sourcing, then I can create a I can set up this and so that I can create a contract out of this. This is the integrated scenario, right? Like sourcing suite integration, but you can do this standalone in Ariba as well, right? Like you can create your sourcing request manually in Ariba. Okay, I wanted this product. Some user can come and create a sourcing request. They can convert that into a project where it will be a follow-on document, right? Like in SAP also we have follow-on documents, right? Like, so from sourcing request, a sourcing project will be created. Inside the sourcing project, a event will be added, okay, in the templates, right? So events will be added. So there are multiple ways of adding events. Okay, like for example, I can have multiple sourcing templates. Like for how to say, like if I have a sole source supplier, right? Like for a product, I have only one supplier who is going to from whom I am going to procure. I can have a template separately for that. If I wanted to have a large event, I can have a template for that. Okay, so I can have multiple templates, and I'll be able to select the template either based on conditions or manually. Like, for example, okay, these are the things the user enters in the template, some or materials or region or details which entered by the user. I can collect that, and based on that conditions, I can determine which template to be used, or I can give all the template options and the user can select which template to use. Okay. So either way, we can configure the sourcing workspace. Based on this, the events will get added, documents will get added. You need to complete the documents. Then you need to add the suppliers who need to join in the sourcing. Okay. Sourcing. Based on that, uh, actually, I prepared the PPT for a beginner day, so I don't have a PPT which is so explaining, so I'm not able to visually show you. So I'll just explain you. If you have any doubts, you can stop me. Okay, is that fine?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Okay. Uh, so you're getting what I'm saying, right? For now.
Understood. Understood. I'm with you.
Okay. Yeah, okay. So after this, you need to add the suppliers who need to participate in the event, right? So there might be 10 suppliers or 15 suppliers. Okay. Uh, Now what happens to add the suppliers? There are multiple things. Okay. So here the role of SLP comes in. Okay. So SLP is nothing but you onboard the suppliers, right? Now after onboarding the suppliers, you can make the suppliers as preferred suppliers for certain category, or you can like for example, there might be a supplier assume it is HP, right? So HP is good for laptop. So what I will do, I will make the supplier as a preferred supplier for HP, right? For laptops. HPS preferred supplier and qualified supplier for laptops, right? So there is a process in SLP called supplier qualification and preferred supplier mapping. So what happens? I can qualify the supplier for laptops. Like I will qualify three or four suppliers for laptops, like HP, Lenovo, whatever, right? Apple and all. Now what happens? I will make sure in sourcing that you can add only qualified suppliers. So what happens? User can only add these suppliers when they put this commodity code. Like when laptop is the commodity code or laptop parts is the commodity code, they can only add the suppliers which are qualified while getting onboarded. So they cannot add random X, Y, Z suppliers in sourcing. So this is additional control which we keep when we do the SLP module. Jay, okay. So after this, the event will be started. So once the event is started, the supplier will be able to bid. Okay. So in the event, there will be like two details. One is commercial details, another one will be technical details. Okay. So commercial detail is simple. It will be the price. What is the price I'm going to offer? Like lowest bidding, highest bidding. And the technical details will be like, so if you have some document to be filled, some questions to be answered regarding the laptops or with respect to quality of the laptop or something like that, you can put it in the technical details, and the supplier will answer this technical detail and the commercial details. Okay, so you can set the event timing to set timing. Like I want this event to happen for 10 days or 15 days, or like this particular date. Like that, I can set up the timing of the event. Now, once the supplier has bidded, you can either do grading for technical questions. So how this technical question grading will happen is based on each and every answer, you can give some points. So based on this, you can do grading, or you can select some predefined mechanisms through which it will select the best supplier. Okay, like there is reverse auctioning, there is Japanese Dutch auctioning. So once you select, based on that, it will select which supplier to be awarded. Okay, in the event. So this will happen only after the event is entered. Okay, so until the event is entered, supplier will be able to give their responses. So once that is done, it will be awarded. So once it is awarded, that is when you will receive the award to S4. So that is when it will get triggered to S4. So after this, you can have some what you say, like uh, verification as well. And when you say for example, someone needs to see the bids, right? So that is where the concept of enveloping comes. Okay. So what will happen is I will put all these questions into specific envelopes. Okay. So for example, I'll put the commercial bidding into envelope one. Okay. Technical bidding into or commercial bidding into envelope two, right? Maybe. And in the technical bidding, whatever questions I have asked, I'll put it into envelope one. Now, what will happen? So I will assign envelope one to a particular team. Okay, so maybe a quality control team. Now, what will happen once this bidding is completed? This process will go to this quality and quality team. Okay, so unless this quality team opens the envelope, no one will be able to see what supplier has responded. Okay, so whoever has that role or whoever the team is added for envelope one, only those guys will be able to open the envelope. Okay, so example, if I add J as envelope one owner, only J will be able to open envelope one. Okay. Unless opening envelope one, I will not be able to open envelope two. Okay. So I will be owner of envelope two, then I will not be able to open envelope two. Now envelope one will be open. They'll say, okay, these are the suppliers which are good, right? Now what they will do, they'll tell, okay, this supplier is doing good, or okay, I open the envelope, I have opened the details. Now it will go to envelope two owner. So envelope two owner will be frame. So now I'll be able to open the envelope and I'll be able to see the bidding. Okay. And I'll tell, okay, out of this three suppliers selected by technical team, okay, this supplier has provided the least quote or something. So we'll award to this supplier like that. Okay. So this is how envelope bidding works. Um, any questions, Jay?
No, no, clear.
Okay. So this is how like this is a like a overview of sourcing, right? So same way contract also works. Okay. So contract module is not this much what do you say, like very efficient to speak. So in contract module, most of the things happen offline. Okay. So all we do is add the tasks. Okay. So for example, first task might be like, okay, define the contract terms, define what are the contracts terms to be included, what are then it will be a negotiation phase where they'll do it offline. There is no online communication between supplier and buyer in Ariba for contract module. Okay. So they'll just have the discussions offline. Okay. And then finalize all the contract, and then they'll put it into Ariba for approval. Okay. So then the approval task will happen. So the only benefit of this contract module in Ariba is you can define the contract terms for different types of contracts, right? Like if you have a SOW, you can have a template for that. If you have a like a different contract to be done, you can have separate contracts for each and everything. And based on that, you can select the template, and you can have separate tasks added. Okay. Like, okay, this is the first task I need to do. This is the second task. Without completing the first task, I cannot go to the second task. And you can have the approval flows configured, and you can have the signing authorities integrated. Okay. Like, for example, DocuSign. If you want to have DocuSign, you can add the document and you can integrate it with DocuSign. Okay. So you can integrate the DocuSign, you can go there and sign the document. Okay. So that is the benefit of having contract in Ariba. Okay. So contract module is not as good as sourcing module. Okay. So if you want contract to be as good as sourcing, then you need to integrate some third party systems into Ariba and all. Okay. Now with respect to SLP, right? Uh, So SLP is very simple, right? So SLP is you onboard a supplier, you integrate it to S4. That's it. Okay. So it is a single source of onboarding vendor. So when you use SLP, you see the best practice when you use SLP is you don't use any other onboarding. Like you don't do XK03 or MDG vendors, right? So anything you just onboard to SLP. Okay. So that is the base of SLP. Okay. So now what are the benefits of SLP, right? So you use SLP, everything becomes connected with the supplier directly, right? So Jay, you have any idea of SLP, Jay, or I need to start from beginning?
Uh, yes, where I mean we have parent realm and child realm, and we push
Okay.
vendors or suppliers to Ariba from S4,
Okay. Okay.
and we have
So
360 degrees of
view.
details view in
Okay.
Ariba for suppliers.
Okay. So
Once it
why do
is
you push
completely done, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, please.
So why do you push supplier from S4 to Ariba? Uh,
Because Ariba doesn't have that leverage to have vendors created, right? This is what I know.
Okay. No, actually, it's not like that. You can create the vendors, but maybe what would have happened in your project is they would have loaded the vendors in S4 as part of Go Live. Might be what I'm assuming, right? Again, I'm not sure what is happening there. And instead of loading it in, what they would do is they would have triggered this. They would have pushed this vendors from S4 to Ariba, correct?
Yes,
But
that is
you
also
can.
we are doing for any new vendors onboarded or any new entities are rolled out. We are pushing their
Okay.
vendors as part of cutover.
Okay, so first you load the vendors in S4 and then you will push it to
Yes,
Ariba. Okay, got
yes,
it. So you are doing brownfield kind of thing every time, right?
yes.
Okay, got it, got it. So, so this is a scenario, right? Like, so there are two scenarios here. One is you have the vendors in your legacy system and push it to SLP. So that is what you are doing currently. Okay. The second thing is uh, like you have a new vendor to onboard. Okay. So I identify a new vendor who needs to be onboarded, who is not in my legacy system or who is not in my S4 system. Okay. So there might be two scenarios, right? So for legacy vendors, what you said is the correct process. First, you need to load it into S4. You'll have your vendor ID created, like one series or two series, whatever. It will get created that, and then it will get pushed to S4. Now, what will happen in S4? It will create a vendor. Okay. Now, this vendor needs to be registered. Okay. So, how to register this vendor is, when you push this vendor from S4 to Ariba, uh, a supplier contact email ID will go along with this, right? So now to this email ID, a registration email will go. Okay. So this is the entire process of SLP. Okay. So now with this, they'll be able to log into Ariba network. Okay. So you're aware of this Ariba network concept, right? SAP Business Network, or you haven't heard about this SAP Business Network, Jay?
Yes, that is a platform where the vendors are available and can integrate all these transactions.
Yes.
Once the purchase order is created, it reaches to Ariba network, and the supplier has their own login details where they log in from their side and check the purchase orders, etc., and can provide their confirmations and send back to Ariba.
So basically, you are using purchase order creation in S4, right? You are not doing Ariba system, Ariba
No,
POs.
no, no,
Okay. Okay. So so you are doing ME21 and POs. You are not doing from Ariba to
no,
S4 integration.
no,
Okay.
no.
Got it. Got it. Okay. So okay, no problem. It's basically the same. I'll explain what is the difference. Okay. So with respect to SLP, right? So in Ariba network, there are three functionalities. Okay. So one is what you said, right? Seeing your purchase orders and responding to purchase orders through invoices, order confirmations, ASNs, and everything. And other one is sourcing and sourcing questionnaires. Okay, it's basically called questionnaires, in which you can see the sourcing events and SLP questionnaires. Okay, so when we discussed sourcing, right, the supplier will respond to the event. So how the supplier will respond to the event? They'll go into this business network, they log into this business network, and through this business network, they'll respond to the events. Okay, it will be a questionnaire template. Okay, there will be like two, three sections like sourcing, SLP, modular questionnaire, like that. So inside the sourcing, it will rest. Okay, and they can filter it out by each and every customer. So supplier, to if I am a supplier, I have one account, and buyer I might have connected to multiple buyers, right? I might be selling to multiple customers. So for each and every customer, I'll have a drop down. So for example, if I want to do to customer A, I'll select customer A, I'll do the response. And to do for customer B, I'll select customer B and I'll do the response. Okay. So same way for SLP. So just because a supplier is registered for customer A doesn't mean the supplier is registered for customer B. Okay. For each and every supplier, for each and every customer, the supplier need to register separately on business network. They can have one account for all the customers, but they need to register. Okay. The register in the sense they need to answer a set of questions. Okay. So these set of questions are like a data collection, right? Like, so if I wanted to do on if I wanted to create a vendor in S4, okay, assume MDG or XK03, what are the details I want? Like supplier name, supplier address, tax numbers, bank details, um, their indicators, like if they are minority indicators, CSP, whatever, right? These indicators, what else? Purchase or company code, right? What are the GLs to be extended. So these are the basic data that I need to onboard a vendor, right? In S4, right? What I'm speaking. So basically, SLP also collects the same data, because what SLP does at the end of the day, it creates the vendor in S4. Okay, it doesn't do anything special. At the end of the day, it just creates the vendor in S4. That is the main duty of SLP, right? So what I need to design the questionnaire is, okay, these are my requirements, and I need to collect this data from vendor. Okay. So what I'll do, I'll collect the whatever data I can collect from vendor, I'll collect from vendor. For example, I can collect the name of the supplier, legal name, bank details, tax ID. These things I can collect from the supplier. But which company code it needs to be extended, which purchase order it needs to be extended, which GL it needs to, so these things supplier will not know. So what I'll do, I'll create another internal questionnaire which will go to the user, right? Or which will go to another set of users. who will fill all this data? Like for example, maybe it will go to purchasing user or finance user, or I can have multiple users fill this form, right? Like okay, first three questions will be filled by finance or purchasing, like which purchase or which company code needs to be entered, like that. And next question, right, like which GL to be used may go to finance team. Okay, then I'll add them in the workflow. So first will be purchase order, then will be finance, then someone needs to approve it, like that. Okay, now these guys will enter it. So based on these questions, I will determine what is the GL to be determined, what is the company code to be determined, um, what is the purchaser. Then I'll collect all the bank data, I'll collect all the tax details, I'll collect the name of the supplier. Now all the data I have. Now what I'll do, I'll just integrate it to S4. Now all this data will go to S4 and it will create a vendor in S4. Okay. So this is the entire process. Now, after this, there are two more things. One is qualification and preferred supplier. Now, qualification we discussed through in sourcing, right? So, what qualification does, right? So, I can qualify for a vendor in a particular region. Okay. So, for that as well, I will ask some questions to the supplier. Again, this question will go to business network. Supplier will respond. There will be approvals. After this, supplier will get qualified for particular commodities in particular region. I can do for all commodity, all region, or particular commodity, particular region. Okay. Then there is something called preferred supplier. Okay. So what is preferred supplier? Okay. It's very self-explanatory, right? Like for example, for laptop, HP is my preferred supplier. Okay. Now what will happen? This will not help in your client, but when you have Ariba buying and invoicing, right? What happens? Your requisition will be created in Ariba. Now, when a user goes and search for a catalog in Ariba or search for laptop in Ariba, what Ariba will show is it will show, okay, this is your preferred supplier. Use this supplier. Okay, but user has the authority to override that. Okay, so if I want, I can go and buy from Lenovo also. But if HP is my preferred supplier, then it will show, okay, your buying organization has put HP as your preferred supplier. You can go and buy from HP. Why HP is preferred supplier? Maybe you have a better contract terms with HP. You have a good rapport with HP. So HP is your preferred supplier. Like that, you can put a preferred supplier for each and every commodity in SLP. So that will pop up when you do requisitioning in Ariba buying and invoicing. You got it, Jay? Like,
Yes, yes, yes.
okay.
We have the same concept in S4 as well. In
S4 as well. Yes, yes,
sourcing,
correct.
where we mark as a fixed supplier, it doesn't
Fixed
mean that
supply.
it has to be the same vendor with
Selector.
whom the
Yes,
purchase
got
orders
it.
has to be
So when you
created.
select the requisition, you can go with the fixed vendor or you can just go with purchase records, right? Like whatever you have, you can just change the supplier as well. Got it. Okay. Um, so this is with respect to SLP.
See,
So
in one point, sorry to break you. One
no
point
problem. Yeah, yeah.
in S4 we have the concept of number ranges. Okay,
Yes,
for
correct.
suppliers or
Correct.
anything.
Correct.
Okay,
Yes.
I can have a different vendor. Say if it is one-time vendor, I can categorize under one number and make them as
Hmm.
one-time vendors. Say one series,
Hmm.
all one series are one-time vendors, and two series are my frequent or regular vendors, etc. So, do we have that provision or flexibility in Ariba where we can differentiate suppliers uh, on that basis as well?
So yes. So what happens is okay. To answer your question, right? So SLP is just a tool I told, right? So end of the day, vendor creation happens in S4. So to your question, what I will do is, so if I wanted different number ranges for different suppliers, so what I will do is in S4 you will have like a separation, right? Okay. So if it is a one-time vendor, I need to create in this series. If it is a like for example, if it is a supplier, so I'll tell you the scenario that I worked, right? For example, okay. Um, okay, so we have a concept in S4 called OA, VI and all, right? Like for example, ordering party, then invoicing party and all, I can separate, right? Like
Yeah, yeah. Partner functions, yes.
partner functions, right? So if I wanted a different partner function, what I'll do is in S4 I'll just add a sorry, in SLP I'll add a question. Okay, What is this? So to your sample, if I'll just add a question. Is this a one-time vendor? Okay, in SLP. Okay, to the user. Now, if the user selects one-time vendor as the answer, what will happen? I'll send this flag to S4. Okay, so number range gets created in S4. Okay, gets determined in S4. So all the vendor IDs that you see in Ariba are the ones that you see in S4. You got it right. So I'll help S4 determine whether it is one-time vendor or not through the questions answered in SLP, J. Okay. So I'll just start a question here as a custom question, and that custom question I'll send it to S4. And in the programming, in the S4 ABAP programming, I'll add a condition or I'll add a user exit saying, okay, if this flag is selected, use the number range of one-time number range. Otherwise, use this as a create it as a one-time vendor. Otherwise, create it as a normal vendor. Or if we have multiple categories, then I'll add multiple category question there. Check. Did I answer your question? Hello.
No, I'm little confused because
Okay.
uh,
Just 1 minute.
this
I'll bring up
SLPs
some.
and all we will be sending to Ariba network, but why to S4 and getting triggered back to S4? These questions are notified in S4.
Okay. I'll just 1 minute. Where did my Zoom go? Okay, here it is. Okay. I'll explain how this works. Okay.
We will not send any questionnaires to S4, right?
No, we will send it. So what happens is, Jay, see, okay, so there is S4, okay, there is SLP, there is Ariba network, okay. Now what happens in your scenario as well? So you have a vendor ID as 1001. Let's assume, okay. Now you are pushing this to SLP, okay. Now this 1001 gets created, okay, in SLP. Now this SLP you register it, so the questionnaire goes here, right? So supplier will answer all this questionnaire. This questionnaire will be there in SLP as well. Okay, like an internal questionnaire where your customers users will enter the questionnaire. So once this is done, all this detail will come and integrate to S4. Okay, so all these details will come and integrate to S4. So why this concept is, see, initially you wouldn't have loaded bank data or supplier tax numbers. Okay, so all this data you will connect from supplier and this will come and sit in S4. Now, in future, okay, after 10 years or after 2 years, this supplier changes his bank account. Okay, so I'm changing from ICICI to SBI. Now, what I'll do, I don't need to go to S4 to this guy and tell, okay, I need to change something, blah blah blah. And all. So, what this guy can do, this guy can reach out to just open this questionnaire and change it. Okay, so bank one to I'll change to bank two. Okay. Now what will happen? This change alone will reflect here and it will go for an approval. Okay. To whomever record. Now that guy will verify. Okay. He has changed from bank one to bank two. Now he will approve it. This change will go to S4 and it will update in your vendor master. Why it updates in your vendor master is, see, SLP is just a tool to onboard suppliers. Okay. End of the day, payment happens in S4, invoice posting happens in S4, PO creation happens in S4, right? So even if I use Ariba buying and invoicing, I'll create the requisition, I'll convert it into order, but that order creates in S4 that will replicate to S4 and it will create in S4. Okay. So same happens for invoicing as well. So you do the invoicing in Ariba, you send it, invoice posting and payments happen in S4. So all these details I want in S4 end of the day to do the processing, right? Transactional processing. You get it now, right? Okay.
Okay.
So what happens is all the vendor IDs, right? So, for example, maybe I'll go it into deeper in next sessions. See, if I create a new vendor, okay, so this detail will not be there, right? So, if I'm starting from SLP, I'll just send the questionnaire here. So, then what happens? All these questionnaire details will be integrated to S4. Now, what will happen is this details based on this details, a vendor ID will be created either 1001 or 2001 based on the conditions. Okay. So now this 1001 or 2001 will flow back to SLP and update it. Okay. So 1001. Let's assume if it is 1001, it will update in SLP. Okay. Now I'll be able to differentiate whether it is one-time vendor or a different vendor, because end of the day vendor creation happens in S4. Okay. Now this data will flow to downstream. So downstream in the sense, if I go, okay, let me share my PPT, right?
If
So
it is
downstream in the sense,
marked as a preferred vendor, then only it goes to downstream, right?
no, no, all the vendors will go to downstream. Preferred vendor will have a flag J, okay, so that it will show, okay, this is a preferred vendor. But whatever vendor gets created, it will go to downstream. So how it flows to downstream is through S4. Okay, you got it? No. So I'll
Okay,
explain
because
that later.
no, no, no. All these days I thought only the preferred supplier only goes or flows to downstream, but
Okay,
not
okay.
the
No,
other
no,
suppliers.
no, no. All the suppliers will go to downstream, but preferred supplier will have a flag, so that when I'm trying to create a requisition, it will show like, okay, this is your preferred supplier. But I can override that. I can just skip that and go to another supplier and create the requisition. Okay. So this Ariba buying, invoicing, right? Commerce automation is what you use now in your client. Okay, so commerce automation in the sense what you are doing, you are creating the requisition or a PO in S4. It flows directly to Ariba network. Supplier will respond with OC ASN. ASN will create an inbound delivery. Based on inbound delivery, you will create a receipt, and supplier will submit the invoice. Invoice will come here and post, right? Or you're using ERS functionality. I'm not sure, but you can use both. Okay. Um, you got this flow, right, for commerce automation.
Yes, yes,
Okay. So this is what you are currently using it, right? In your client.
correct.
Okay. So, with respect to Ariba buying and invoicing, what will happen is this entire process will happen in Ariba P2P system. Okay. So, in Ariba P2P system, you will create a requisition. You will have a big approval flow. Based on that approval flow, a PO will be created. Now, this PO will get integrated to S4. In S4, PO will be generated. Again, this PO generation is based on your number range, J. Okay. So, whatever number range you have configured for that particular document type. Okay, for Ariba PO, you have a document type as ZNB. Then for that ZNB, if you have a separate number range, in that number range, the PO will get generated. Okay, so that PO will come and update in Ariba again. Now from Ariba, this PO, so instead of going from S4 to business network, from Ariba P2P, this PO will flow to Ariba network. Now supplier will respond OC, ASN if required. This OC and ASN will come and sit in Ariba buying. Then user will do a goods receipt. This GR will go to Ariba network and tell, okay, supplier user has done this much goods receipt. Supplier will do the invoice. Invoice will come to Ariba. In Ariba, reconciling will happen. So I'll set up some exceptions, approval flows, some conditions based on which reconciling will happen. So once all the exceptions are reconciled, everything is good. This invoice will flow to S4 and it will post as an IDOC. Okay. And after that, it will send the status back to Ariba. Okay, like this invoice got posted, this invoice got parked, this got blocked, maybe it got R blocked or something. So it will say, okay, invoice is blocked for payment, or it has processed for payment, something like that. Okay, so it will, the status will come back and update, and it will go to the supplier as well. So this is the entire process. You got it, like,
Thank you,
okay.
thank you.
So you have any questions? Like, I think you
No, I'm
already
good
know
so
what
far.
business network is, so I can skip this slide. Okay. So,
I'm good so far. Thank you.
okay. Yeah. So I think I gave a overview. I- We can close this session for today, right? Like, already 8:40.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank
See you.
you.
Yeah. Bye bye.